Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Welcome to Curiosity Cove, everybody. My name's Veda.
And I'm your trusty captain. Today we'll be talking about
Aquarius! You know what
Where's
I
all
always
my
think of?
Aquamans, Aqua ladies, and the Aqua peeps.
You know what I always
hanging
think
out.
of is that song, the Age of Aquarius song.
I
That's
don't
it.
think I know that song.
What? Have you not? It's like the disco, like it's the age of Aquarius. You don't know that?
I don't think I ever knew that that was the name of the song though.
The age of a.
Yeah, it's slow moment, blonde moment. Hello. But maybe, yeah, it's kind of sounding familiar. I don't think I listened to it recently though.
Yeah, I think about that every time that I hear the word Aquarius because I didn't before I like got into astrology and stuff, I didn't know what it was, but I knew the song. And so people would say that they were an Aquarius, and all I would
You're
hear in
like,
my
that's
head
so
is
weird.
it's the age of Aquarius.
You're like, I guess that's good for them. Like,
I guess they really like the song or something. How are you though? How was you just came back from trip,
I
yeah?
did. I just came back from the vacation and I had my first day back at work, and let me say, my body aches, bro.
Yeah, I actually feel that, dude. I now work on Fridays as well, so it's a kick to the gut. Getting home, I was like, I sat down, so I got food on the way home. Like I ordered food like at a stoplight because I was like, I am not stopping anywhere. I need to get home immediately because I want to sit,
Yeah.
like I want to like lounge.
Sit down.
Yeah, and I walked in to my house and I sat down at the computer and I said, "Fuck, I have to write my notes for the podcast." Because I just had like it was all in my head, but I hadn't written anything down, and so I was like, it was so funny because I like sat down at my computer and I was like, okay, I'm writing my notes for that, and then you pinged me and you're like, hey, don't forget about the die. I was like, yes,
Yes, I do
yes,
now.
I am due right now.
I just wanted to make sure in case work sucks. I know it just flips the
Yeah,
mind. So
yeah,
I was
it
like, let me
does.
text her real
Well, and
quick, actually.
I meant to do it this morning when because I woke up like super early, but then I got fucking distracted, so I was like, I'll do it after work, and then I got home and I said, I'm so exhausted, I have to write these notes.
He said, fuck.
Oh my god. But yeah, did you do anything super fun on your trip, or was it just chill?
Go to the beach. That was about it.
Oh,
Just hung out at the
fuck.
beach and just got to just chill
And
and
then you come
tan
back
and
to
listen to
this
music.
cold ass weather.
I was just complaining to some people. I was saying, dude, I'm so fucking cold right now. I'm
When
literally bundled up in my blanket right now as we're talking about stuff.
when I was younger, we used to travel down south like during the winter to like visit family. And I remember I would always like come back and it would be like January and I would have like this like nice well, I don't tan, but like I do like a little bit. Like I go from not from being like pale vampire white to being like white girl white.
Yes.
So I would come back like that and everybody would be like, where were you? And I'd be like, the beach. Like in the dead of fucking winter, snow all over the ground, and I'm just like living my life.
They're like, wow, you're so tan. And you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
just basic bitch white
just
now.
I don't have to use the white Halloween makeup as foundation anymore. Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Okay, so sorry you guys, I just haven't gotten to catch up with my cat much.
Yeah, sorry, we're just catching up on the podcast live in the studio, whatever.
Whatever. But before we get started with Aquarius and all of their little things, would you like to read out the birthday shout outs for
birthday
Aquarius?
shout outs. And also this is for like most of Senshi, just because that's the friend group we be hanging out with. But we got Dibby, we got Esper, we got my buddy Mookie, we got Sharky, Nuna, Mango, Kemma, Tsunami and Anubis. We got a big lineup.
So
Especially
many
Big Miss Coup.
Aquariuses. That's so crazy to me. Like
How
it's
many we have?
yes. Like there's
Mhm.
why are there so many like I'm happy about it, but like why are there so many?
Wait, didn't you say you didn't know a lot of Aquariuses too?
I don't know any outside of Senchi. I don't know any Aquariuses.
Huh.
I mean, like I knew Nuna before Senchi, so
Yeah.
like that one was always there, but the rest of them all flooded in with the Senshi peeps, and that is it's just insane to me that there are so many. Cause and it's like it's crazy to me that I've gotten to know so many of them without realizing too. Cause like
Yeah,
cause
that's true.
when you were reading them off, I was like, wait, fuck, Divi? Wait, fuck, Kenma? Like
Yeah.
Anubis? Like I've been streaming with Anubis. How did I not know that?
Yeah, this was crazy. There's so
Um,
many.
for real. And for those who don't know, Aquarius dates are anywhere from January 20th to February 18th. So if you have someone who falls within those dates in your life, they are an Aquarius.
A surprise Aquarius if you didn't know.
Literally. And then I will go ahead and just jump right into it.
Yes, please. I wanna know.
Aquariuses have a modality of fixed. They are fixed signs. And these signs are the like epitome of like loyalty and trustworthiness. Like they so the four signs that are fixed are Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo. So this applies to all of them. But
Mhm.
essentially they're individuals who like you would want to be planning your events or you would want to be making plans with. They tend to kind of stop themselves from getting distracted, or if they do get distracted, they always like come back on course to make sure that
Mhm.
the task at hand gets settled. They are also I these signs are so good at maintaining friendships and like keeping long lasting friendships, and they're always
Aw.
those like very cute long lasting relationships that you have with friends that are like, yeah, we haven't talked in 6 months, but like who gives a shit, just tell me everything that's been happening with you.
Yeah, it's like the 6 months pass, and when you guys talk again, it's like time didn't even pass.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I love those kind of friendships too.
yeah, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, all of them are like that. It's so refreshing too because Aquarius specifically are so good at it. Like
Mhm.
Aquariuses are very good at essentially like downloading who people are. So when you like drift a little and you come back together, it's like they still know how you think or like how you, so when you're telling these stories, they're almost like replying in a way that is like, oh yeah, it feels like you were there, like it feels like I'm telling you something you already know.
Oh, that's such a good vibe to feel, though.
For
Oh,
real.
fug.
For
Look
real.
at all these freaking Aquariuses we know. My goodness.
Literally.
I find it a bit interesting that you said that Leo was in that group, but it said typically good with not getting distracted and stay on task. I feel like they're very, like, bombastic people that get distracted.
So I- there are certain signs within these like modalities that
Mm-hmm.
I think the overall traits apply to better. Uh
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
I would say these traits probably apply most to Taurus if we're being honest.
That's what I was thinking too.
Oh
Well
yeah.
grounded
Yeah.
type.
Well, that's yeah, that's the earthiness or whatever.
Mm, or
Um
whatever.
but but yeah, I would say they probably apply best to Taurus, but like
Mhm.
the fixed modality in general, these are typically traits of somebody who falls within that. Now that being said, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into like an individual's uh like presenting of their
Yeah.
signs in their star chart. So it does largely depend on like where every other piece of your chart lies, but um overall, uh I would probably say Aquarius. This is probably like maybe 50% applicable to Aquarius and Scorpio. And then yeah, Leo's at the bottom. Sorry, Leos.
Sorry, Leo's
Cuz
just
they're
had to punch you guys out.
Leos are well, they're also very much like Leos are friend hoppers too. and like when we get to Leo season, we'll go over this, but they're like so social that they hop between friend groups. So like the long lasting relationship thing is them to a T, because they hop between different groups so frequently that they're able to maintain those relationships at a distance, so that when they come back to them, they can full send into hanging out all the time or catching up or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Aquariuses are actually like on the receiving end of that. They're really good at welcoming you back, whereas like Leos are really good at coming back to people.
Aww,
This is kind of like on opposite spectrums.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like little fun facts about it. The element that represents Aquarius is air. The planet that rules Aquarius is actually Saturn and Uranus. They are come on.
Sorry.
Should I said, or what is it? Uranus? Is that how the people pronounce it so that people don't laugh?
Of course. My sophisticated ass laughed. I always thought Aquarius was a water sign.
Aquarius, I think, is an air sign, isn't it?
It is, but like, I always think it's a water sign.
You had
every time.
It's because it looks like waves, because it's the water. The sign is the water bearer. Yeah. And so because it's the water bearer, I think that people believe that it's a water sign, but they are definitely an air sign, because they're the most like ethereal air sign that there is. But yeah, you can usually tell the air signs because of how so the air signs are Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, and you can usually tell because, like, off the top of your head, can you think of anything that the three of them have in common?
Was Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra?
So like think of like similarities between Lexi and Nuna.
I feel like they're very like excitable.
Yes.
Like, they get really excited about like random things.
Yep. So that's usually where you can tell that somebody is an air sign, is there like the excitability is there. They're very like impulsive to a point, like with when it comes to like excitement and emotion and like thoughts, like word vomit is a thing, and like high excitability, very big hypeness over small things. Those are very much air sign qualities.
I didn't know. That's neat.
Yeah. But yes, they are represented by the water bearer, which I think is a beautiful symbol. Like,
oh, for sure,
she's gorgeous. And then the tarot card that represents Aquarius is the Star, which is also a very pretty card. Upright, it means hope, faith, purpose, renewal, and spirituality. And then reversed, it means a lack of faith, despair, self-trust, and disconnection. And these words, which we'll go over in a second, are actually very fitting for Aquarius. And I know that I explained this last time, but I will probably explain it every time, just for anybody who did not hear in a previous episode. But in astrology, we have 3 major things that we look at, which is, on the surface, we look at your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising. So your sun sign is that overall self. It's like your ego. The moon sign is always going to be your internal and emotional self. And then the rising will be essentially your personality, or your outward facing mask, for lack of a better term. And then Aquarius, suns. Okay. It feels like the pressure's on because now I know so many Aquariuses.
You're like, I don't want to make them feel. Well, dude, I have red and green flags later, bro. It's gonna be awful.
I feel like and the other thing is that I know that some of them are in the chat right now. Okay, so Aquarius traits. The first one I have is that they are assertive, and I put the I put a slash here for everything because there is always a downside to the upside, and I think I'm going to start doing that with these because I think it's fun because they can come off either way. So for people who are outward thinking about it, like not the Aquariuses themselves, but for other people, they'll be able to see like, oh yeah, well I know a few who act that way. So assertive / stubborn. Aquariuses are not always seemingly assertive. However, they have that potential kind of deep down within them. And I think anybody who knows an Aquarius has seen it before because the wrong words will force that drive out of them and they will speak their mind. And their mind is always racing. And so there's a lot of stuff pent up in there, right? And so when they get that right phrase out of someone, it lets them kind of like assertively state how they feel. And because their mind is always thinking about the best possible outcome or the worst possible outcome or the most sure thing, they're very this is where the stubbornness would come in. They're very stubborn about like their ideas and beliefs and everything. Like their mind is forever unchanged.
Yeah, like a one-way street. Like they're like, yeah, I guess I'm listening, but like this is how I think.
Yes. So they're always willing to see the other side, but they're always going to stand strongly in their beliefs. Like forever. And yeah, that's probably one of the biggest textbook Aquarius traits is just the like assertiveness, and it doesn't always come out in the way that you would think. A lot of them are inwardly assertive, so it's very much like you may never hear it, but in their minds they'll be saying like, sure, but this is what I know, you know. Like it's not always direct, but they are
say
like
it to like appease you, and that's it.
Yeah. The next one I've got here is that they are analytical / detached. So, like I said, their mind is always racing, and they spend a large portion of their time inside their own head, thinking through every single butterfly effect piece of the spider web possible, outcome scenario possible. I mean, if you think that you are a professional overthinker, trust me, it's nothing like an Aquarius. It is like built into them to overthink everything. And it's not necessarily in a bad way. It's just natural to have something put in front of them. Let's say it's a certain scenario or a question that's posed. They will just think about it over and over again. And you know, if I go route A, then it leads to route AB and AA and AC. And if I go AB, it's going to lead to ABA and ABB. Like that is an actual thought process that I could never fathom doing with like every decision that's in front of me. And they're also the types, a lot of the time, their faces will seem blank or like their demeanor will seem kind of like empty. And it's not because they're not paying attention. It's just because they're so productive with the way that they think that sometimes they can't be bothered to focus on their thoughts and focus on displaying their thoughts at the same time. Like they're super good at the at masking. Yeah. And so that leads me into another one, which is their independence. So independence is like super, super important to them, right? On every level. It's not like specific to one thing. It can be in a relationship. It can be in general life. It can be in a workplace. It can be as simple as independence in a conversation. And so when I say that they kind of like can seem blank-faced, they're very much more likely to need space in a conversation to really think about their reply. So it can be like they're right in front of you and they're computing. And they're like thinking of what they want to say, which will lead them to what they think is the best possible outcome in the conversation.
Is it like
Granted,
a physical pause?
yeah, it's like a 2-second pause where their mind's just catching up with them. It happens,
Oh, damn.
I think, a lot, or sometimes it'll feel like they're ignoring you, and you'll
Yeah.
hear this a lot. Like, I hear it from Lexi a lot,
Mhm.
where she says, sorry, I'm just thinking about XYZ real quick. And it's like, it's one of those things of like, they're constantly focusing on this like computer racing in their brain, analyzing
Yeah.
like every single thing. So one of the notes that I put here is, you may see this displayed in conversations as they may seem uninterested or blank-faced in the conversation, but really they're taking in and analyzing every single word that you speak. That's just how their brains work.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of insane because it's admirable to me because it's like 2 seconds. Like it takes 2 seconds for their brain to catch up with them, and they've just like, it's, you know that scene in is it Endgame or Infinity War? It's Infinity War, where Doctor Strange is like, hold on, I'm computing every single outcome from this
Yeah.
situation. And he's like,
dude, what are you doing? He's like, hold on. Just give me a second.
yeah, and it's like 3 seconds later, and he's like, there's about 1 trillion where we lose and 1 where we win. That's like, that's what I picture in Aquarius. Is like...
That's fair. I had a question though.
Yeah.
In regards, like jumping back to the analytical one,
Mhm.
like you know how like they can see all those different like visions and stuff. What
Yeah.
if it was an Aquarius that doesn't have a mental image?
Oh, you know what? That's an interesting thought. And like that is like half of the world. I guess we would have to find, because okay, so I do that honestly when I overthink things, right? And
Mhm.
like when you don't have like a mental image, it's kind of like a little bit of a thought process, right? So like instead of
Mhm.
seeing the web, you're kind of just like constantly listing out all of the possible incomes. So it would be like A leads to A leads to A leads to, you know, quadruple A leads to A, B leads to A, B, A. Like you would just constantly be thinking this kind of like,
Instead of physically like
instead of like
each
seeing
scene
a,
happen.
yeah, instead of like closing your eyes and seeing a map like
Yeah.
webbing out to all these different outcomes, I guess it would just be more of like a thought process of all of the different things that could be coming, or that
I
could
think
like,
I'd rather have a mental image. I don't know if I could
I
have
would
my
rather
brain.
have a mental image.
I would not want my brain talking that much. Like
No,
imagine.
that
Holy
would,
hell.
yeah, it would be mighty stressful to think
Yeah.
of.
That would be anxiety inducing
Yeah,
for sure.
to think of like a ongoing list, like a Word document just being typed
Read
out in your
off.
brain. Yeah.
Like the fitness gram pacer test.
Yeah. I mean, when it happens to me, I give up around like, I don't know, the third web.
You're like, no, I
I think
can't.
of option
No.
A through D and then an A through D for all of those, and then I'm like, I
Mhm.
can't go on. If I keep thinking about this, I'll combust.
Mhm.
But it's so like, it's not natural to me as an Aries. It's so natural to Aquarius. Like,
Oh, that's gotta be awful. I feel bad for their brains
I
suffering and
actually
stuff.
think it's kind of awesome. And the reason that I do is because with that kind of like, I guess, like preparedness,
Mhm.
nothing comes as as a surprise.
That's
Like
true.
you've thought of everything that could happen already. So like you're
Like
just
they are the Doctor
prepared.
Strange.
Yes.
That's
You
true.
know, I wonder if Doctor Strange is an Aquarius. Is Doctor Strange an Aquarius? Oh my
I
god, it's actually a, he's a
stop.
Scorpio. He's another fixed sign. Scorpios have this too. Just not as
Intense.
intensely. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Of course he's a Scorpio. These fixed
Moving on, we'll get
signs.
there. Don't worry about
Yeah, one day.
it.
So moving on, the next keyword that I have is unique slash eccentric or unusual if you are one of those people who see eccentric as an insult. Um, this is one of my favorite traits about them. The uniqueness that is an Aquarius is so, oh god, I envy it. Like they are so genuinely, unapologetically uniquely themselves. It's such a
Aw.
beautiful thing. And it's sometimes I feel like it's easy to tell them apart from the rest of the signs just because they're so bright and they have this like beautiful, unique energy to them. So everybody's eye is caught by them. And so honestly, learning certain people are Aquariuses does not shock me because typically my response is, oh yeah, makes sense. Like your energy just it's I haven't seen anything like it. So, of course you're an Aquarius. Like it's but it's true. Like a lot of the time I feel like I come across people where I'm like I don't know anybody who's like you and they end up being Aquariuses.
That's kind of cute though. It's like
Mhm.
they're like one in a million type
And
person.
it really is. And it fascinates me because there's so much similarity that runs in astrology. But like, if you put, okay, if you put two Aries together, you're probably going to see similarities.
Mm-hmm.
If you put two Leos together, you're definitely going to see similarities.
Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
if you put two Aquariuses together, if you put two of them into a conversation, they're going to seem similar on a human aspect, but then the
Mm-hmm.
second that you dive into like energies and personalities and stuff like that, they are going to be different. Like they aren't as similar to one another as a lot of signs are. They're so diverse.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like the differences in them, especially if like you can't directly pick them out of a crowd.
Yeah. It is very refreshing because they keep you guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
For
can't
sure.
a lot of the signs you can meet someone and they can say, "Oh, I'm an XYZ," and you can be like, "Oh, okay." And then you see the signs present themselves. Aquariuses are the golden children of you don't really seem like your sign. Wait
Yeah, like wait a minute.
a minute. I also think this is a don't quote me on this one because I can't say this with 100% confidence, but I also think that they're the most likely to be heavily influenced by other positions in their natal chart. I think because of their diversity, they're actually more susceptible to seeming like other signs due to certain placements.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
Um I think that that's true. But don't
Mm-hmm.
quote me. um
Yeah, yeah.
okay, next up. Impulsiveness, which I mentioned a little earlier, slash recklessness. Uh Impulsive is self-explanatory, but essentially they tend to word vomit. They think a lot, but sometimes they act before that thinking is finished. They're probably very, very likely to follow their own thoughts into battle
Hmm.
as if like it is a like non-stop snowball down a hill. It is just like they full send with their thoughts. If they are choosing to speak what they are thinking, it is like it's an unmovable force, like an unstoppable train.
Yeah.
Brakes are broken.
Snowballs don't have
um,
brakes.
but trains do. um, yeah, it is. I've seen this a couple times in because I don't know any Aquariuses in like IRL aside from Nuna. But I have in the past.
Hmm.
And one of the girls that I used to work with, she was an Aquarius, and her impulsivity was like super, super fun. But also, there were moments where it's like, bro, you gotta, you gotta calm down.
Slow down.
Like, bro, you should not be climbing that lamppost. um, but she was very much like a the type to observe, which is very much an Aquarius thing. They love to observe people.
Hmm.
Uh she was very much one to observe, and then the second that a thought came out of her mouth, it was full send. Even if it didn't land, like if nobody was like she would She would say something to like add to a conversation, and everyone would like look at her because no one understood the context, like how it actually fit into it.
Yeah.
And she would just full send it. She would be like over explaining why it makes sense and like all this stuff, and we were like,
No.
yeah, we were like, bro, it's fine, it's fine, we just didn't catch what you were saying. It's like it's totally
Yeah.
cool. But it literally was like a snowball. Like she was ready to just like go on and on to make sure that everybody understood that. She was like, I know what I'm talking about, and I promise it relates, and here's 85 reasons on why.
Oh my god.
So yeah, they're very much like, that's the kind of impulsivity that I think typically is displayed from an Aquarius. It's not so much like reckless spending or things like that. It's
Yeah.
usually more so in the sense of like impulsive thoughts and like impulsive speaking.
Mhm.
That would be like probably the biggest example of impulsivity in an Aquarius. And I think knowing the Aquariuses that we know, it's probably something that's easy to see, like word vomit.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
then,
this them being them, you know?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the last keyword I have is loyal slash clingy. But clingy is not a bad thing. I love clingy people. And my note for this literally says, bruh, golden retrievers. Because they are. Aquariuses are so adorably, like, loyal. And yes, some people do see it as clingy because they want to, like, share a bunch of stuff with you, and they want to hang out a lot, and they want to get to know you, and but that's their thing. Like they want to analyze, right? So
They
they,
just decided.
yeah, they want to analyze you and what you like, and like what, your personality is like, and what they can do to, help you have fun. They're just like, they're there for you forever, and they're always like so good at catching mannerisms
Mhm.
and acting on those. So like Aquariuses make really good friends for a good reason. They
Yeah.
pay attention, like a lot of attention. And so when you start becoming friends with an Aquarius, if you have a tell for when you're upset about something, they're going to
They'll
pick up
know.
on that the second it happens.
Oh, I love friends like that. Where they're like, "Bro, you good?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"How'd you know? I don't even know if I'm good."
Yeah. Dude, that's one of my favorite things about some of my friends is that it like makes me equally upset and happy to get a message when I'm upset about something where someone's going, "Hey, what's wrong?" Because I'm like,
Yeah.
"Fuck you for knowing," but also, God, I love you. Like,
Yeah, it's like that give hate. Like, oh, I
yeah,
really,
I
really
didn't want
wanted to
anybody
talk
to
to you about it.
notice, but
I
like,
didn't want people to know.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
Um, but that's about it for Aquarius sun signs. Moving on to moon signs. So this is again your internal emotional side of you. Aquarius moons are often individuals that like to observe the people around them. This is where that trait really comes out, is with the moon placement, because it is on a more emotional level or a more internalized level. This is where you really see that analytic part shine, because Aquarius moons in group settings are constantly trying to figure out like what people's deals are. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they
Like
get
pick you
into,
apart type thing.
exactly, yeah, and not on like a psychological level or anything, on a very surface level. Like they want to know when they come into the conversation, if I was an Aquarius and I had never met you before and you're talking about something, I'm zoning in on the words that you're saying to figure out and try to piece together who you are as a
Mm-hmm.
person and like what your vibe is. That's the gist of it. Um
Hmm.
and they're also kind of like masterminds when it comes to masking. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another trait that shines with the moon placement. They find it super easy to push all of the negative and the unappealing emotions to the back. So when they're going through something, when something is absolutely wrong, or when it's an unfortunate situation, or they feel that it's not necessary to actually address what's happening in front of them, they can push it all back and they can put that mask on of everything's hunky-dory and it's completely believable. That blank face can work a lot of magic sometimes. But yeah, those two traits definitely shine more in a moon sign. And I don't know any Aquarius moons, but I do know some Aquariuses that can do this really well, so it makes sense to me.
That's fair. I don't think I know any Aquarius moons either.
I don't know any Aquarius moons or any Aquarius risings, I don't think.
I don't think I know enough people who know their 3.
Yeah.
That's the one thing for me. Like, I would love to know, because I'm genuinely curious, but I don't think enough people know it.
Yeah.
For it to be a conversation.
I always offer to tell people what their major 3 are, but then it feels weird because I'm like, okay, great. What was your birth location, date of birth, time of birth?
Yeah, like...
asking for all of that is a little jarring, I think, so...
It's also a little FBI sus, you know, like...
Yeah, it is. It's a little, like, hand me your social security number and your credit card.
Pretty much.
Okay, so lastly we have rising signs, right? Rising sign, again, is that kind of outward-facing personality, or the way that you present, the sign that you present as, right? Rather than the sign that you truly are. Sometimes they are the same.
True.
But Aquarius risings are curious and creative. Best way to describe them. They can be curious and creative to any caliber. So they may be people who like to learn a lot. Maybe they enjoy asking questions or just hearing people talk so they can gain information to analyze. Coming from that analyzing trait that Aquarius have, any information that a rising can gain from a situation or a person or a video, anything like that, is good enough for them. And I mean, that's the basis of it. They are the cats. They are the curiosity killed the cat kind of situations. Because a lot of the time Aquarius risings are the people in group settings who are like question after question after question after question, like trying to get to know people to a point of where it's like, dude, how about we find how, like, what are you up to? Like, what's your name actually?
Yeah, like, why are we just focusing on me right now? Like, what are we...
I don't usually talk about myself this much. Why don't we switch it up?
Let's turn tables real quick.
And then 9 times out of 10, if a situation like that were to happen, they would be like, yeah, my name is so and so, but what you were saying about XYZ, is that...
Yeah, anyways.
Like, turn it right back around.
Yeah.
And then the other trait that runs really deep with the rising signs is that creativity. The best way that I can describe an Aquarius rising is, you know, those people that you see at parks that have like the gigantic drawing pads and they're dressed in like beautiful fashion and they're like sketching the park. That's
like the people who like go to the park or like go to like Disney World and they're drawing the characters and stuff.
Literally, that's got to be an Aquarius rising.
It has to be.
It has to be.
Quirky, eccentric, if you will.
Yeah. But yeah, they're definitely those people who have that very like unique fashion sense that you're like, people shouldn't be able to pull this off, but you pull this off really well. Or
man, I wish I knew one of them, bro.
For real. I wish that I could do that. Like, I wish I was an Aquarius rising and that I could have this like beautiful, like quirky style that works really well for my personality and I can pull off despite the fact that it's not typical fashion. Because if I put on like a polka dot skirt and like a plaid shirt, it's not gonna look good. But on an Aquarius rising, that shit would be bomb, you know?
True. That is true.
Yeah. But that's it. That's about the summary of all of the different placements for Aquarius. I mean, we're only going over the major 3 in these, of course, because otherwise I could talk to you for 6 hours about it.
Pretty much.
But that's the major 3 placements for Aquarius.
Ooh.
Yes,
all
yes,
right.
yes.
So then we're jumping into relationships. Who's
Ayo.
most compatible? Who's not compatible? Your red and green flags and some traits. I have some as well. But I have like the attractive traits. So like I guess they can still be seen as negative, but more typically it's like what you find like whoa in Aquarius. But just overall in general, the most compatible matches for Aquariuses would respect its independence and freedom and give them space when they need to ponder and puzzle through their many, many thoughts. So again, they
Yeah.
be thinking all the time. If they need a second to try and like figure out what's going on in the whirlwind happening, just give them that space. Just respect that. I feel like these signs would really respect if, for example, if like you're in a fight and instead of word vomiting, if they were like, I needed a break, like a
Mm-hmm.
step away, I feel like they have that split second to walk away, or the word vomit's definitely coming out 100%. Um, but they also would say that an Aquarius should make them, oh excuse me, the partner of an Aquarius, excuse me, would make them feel safe and valued by engaging in deep meaningful conversations and spending that quality time with them. So you need someone
Mm.
who respects their alone time, but someone who also will push them to come hang out so they can open up as well. As much as
Right.
Aquarius like picking other people apart, picking apart an Aquarius would be just as interesting as well.
I've always thought that there's a very specific combo that I think Aquariuses would match really well with.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm gonna let you explain the most compatible signs before I mention it.
Okay, got you. All right, so some attractive traits that is just wow for them would be their eccentric and quirky ways are just always refreshing. Their brain simply runs on different tracks to everyone else's. So that's literally what we talked about earlier with the suns. They're just super interesting. Just they just got a million things to talk about, a million different things that they love to do, and they're quirky and they're just really fun to be around. They really say what they think and with great eloquence. You know where you are with them. So I feel like it's not so much gray with them, it's more so black and white. Where they're
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, are we good? They're like, yeah, why? Oh,
Right.
oh, gotcha. Thank you. Like
Mm-hmm.
but then if you're still confused, they'll definitely like sit down and have a chat with you about it.
Yeah.
Um and it also said that they have really beautiful eyes, an enchanting faraway look. So there's that faraway look for you, but I guess a lot of Aquariuses have really pretty eyes as well. So next time you're hanging out with Nuna, tell her eyes are pretty and make her nervous.
So
Just get her
true.
there. Aquarians make you feel like they're thinking big thoughts, but there also might not be something going on back there. Hopefully for them, because they got way too much to think about
Yeah.
anyways.
So pretty eyes and blank faces, huh?
Pretty much. Sounds like a golden retriever to me.
For real.
I love it. Well, before we get into best compatible matches, did you want me to go over them before your guess or guess first?
Um, it's not so much a guess as much as it is like a based off of what Aquariuses are kind of like in need. I
Mm-hmm.
always thought that a Libra with a Leo rising would be like a
Hmm.
really good match for them because
Uh-huh.
the Leo rising is kind of that like super social, outgoing, like willing to facilitate introducing people kind of thing. Because
Mm-hmm.
Leos are very much like life of the party and everything. But because that is an outward facing like display with a rising
Mm-hmm.
sign, that Libra, the air signs, I know for a fact are all very compatible with each other. Air signs are like one of those like specific cases because a lot of signs aren't very good with signs of their own element, but the
Mm-hmm.
air signs are not like that. So
Mm-hmm.
Libras, I know for a fact, are good with Aquarius. And I think that specifically a Libra who is able to be more like independent themselves, or they like
Mm-hmm.
they kind of go through a similar experience as Aquariuses do. So I think there would be that ground of understanding, but also if they have that Leo rising, they can push them to open up a little more as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, my first sentence is the air sign trio, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, all get along with each other. So they're all very clever, opinionated, and analytical. They do lots of talking and get off on each other's intellect. So they just love picking each other apart and just getting to know each other on like a deeper level. Fundamentally, Aquariuses are attracted to people who are spirited, passionate, and dedicated to making the world a better place. No matter the zodiac sign, Aquarians are drawn to lovers who aren't afraid to break the rules. Once they found their person, and it's one that's worth committing to, they're loyal and refuse to give up. So we talked about that Aquarius moon traits that'll be shining through these relationships as well. So starting right off, one of the most compatible matches is Gemini. Gemini often have a difficulty staying with a single individual for long periods of time since they tend to grow bored quickly and easily, as people say. But however, Aquariuses crave that space and independence, which suits Geminis very well. So that means they're not overly clingy, but they also respect that independence where like Geminis could have that bounce off of their romance and like they could still do that flirtiness and like have fun, but then they're also like, well, I need a break from that. And the Aquarius will be like, all right, cool. And so they respect that both ways. And they also have very similar communication styles as well. So I would just say in general, I feel like the air signs would be really good at like just communicating.
Yeah.
Overall. Like just being able to just vibe off each other.
Yeah, it's for sure like a well-known thing throughout the, I guess, I don't know, astrology community or whatever, that the air signs are like, dude, if you've got yourself like a trio of besties who are all air signs, like you are living it up. Like there's not a lot of room for arguing because it's kind of one of those things where they understand each other on such a specific level. It's really easy to just talk things out rather than argue. And I think that's kind of insane because like I mean I'm like that with most of my friends too, right? Like I talk things out, I don't really argue. But I have those moments of like pure unadulterated like rage where I'm like, I love you, but you're such a fucking idiot and I can't stand to look at you right now.
Yeah.
But between the air signs, typically that's not a thing. It's more of like a, you are not getting it and we need to make sure that we both get it. Like it's it just comes from such a level of understanding that I can't fathom.
I can't either. The Pisces in me would just fucking go off the wall.
The Aries in me would yell. I don't raise my voice much, but I would.
I would just sit there and just try and try and try
I
to
can
get
like
through to them, but at some point it's just gonna snap and I'm just gonna leave. Like I'll have to leave the room because I'd rather not blow up. I'd rather step away, figure that shit out, and come back. I can
literally hear your like half sass giggle and see you walking away.
Just a little. Oh, okay. Just going.
Yes. I can visually see it. Yeah.
And leaving.
Yeah. Or I can like, it's funny because like I can almost see like the face that you make when you don't agree with something, like in my brain, and then you just being like,
is it like very? I feel like my face is so readable sometimes.
You're so animated. Your expressions are so animated. It is so... You cannot hide what you are feeling.
Fuck me. Oh, I fucking knew it too. I feel like there's just so much going on that I have to just think it through. So then everything that's crossing my brain is automatically like,
it's your...
hello, this is what she's thinking.
Yeah, it's the way that you like move your lips, like your smiles or your smirks or whatever. It gives away what you're thinking every time.
Fuck me. Oh, that's good to know. Oh man. But jumping into the next one, you got it right again. A Libra is pretty compatible match for Aquarius. Libra's charm, kindness, and generosity make their fellow air sign care deeply about connecting with other people. These two signs together can be quite a formidable force when it comes to social justice and community building. So I feel like that was given for like keeping your friends, your like friend groups together and like being that person who, if there is an issue going on, that like a Libra or an Aquarius, or both of them at the same time, I guess, would be really good at helping keep friendships together and
Yeah.
like keeping that talk going.
They're like very good at being like the glue.
Yeah, that's what I would agree with as well.
Yeah.
But romantically, each will have to learn how to open up and share their personal feelings more, but as friends or partners, they can easily succeed at whatever joint ventures they put their minds together. So, I guess that's another thing where like some of the air signs would rather pick you apart than have themselves be picked apart. So I guess two air signs would be like one person would pick each other apart and then they'd circle back again. So it
Yeah.
would just be a never ending
Just
loop
like a
of like,
loop.
yeah, pretty much. So I think that'd be so interesting just to like people watch from like if
Yeah.
we're like out at dinner and like you see two air signs and you're just like, I want to see how this goes. It would just be so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And also, you guessed right again. I don't have specifics of like Leo rising or anything like that, but Leo is on the list.
Okay. Makes
This is a
sense.
case of opposites attract.
Yeah.
They share the feel of wanting to please others but having different approaches. Leos would want to entertain and bring joy to people and achieve that by putting themselves at the center, while Aquariuses would rather help people by making the systems better and does so by centering other people. So
Yeah.
they'd rather just be the wallflower to Leo's like party. Which
That
totally
makes
makes sense.
yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, honestly. Because like I feel like it's very much what I mentioned before, where it's like that thing of like on like a social level at least,
Mm-hmm.
Leos are very much more about like pulling people out for
Yep.
so that they can enjoy them themselves versus that Aquarius tendency to kind of push other people to be social instead of themselves. So it's like
Yeah.
a little bit of a balance.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. I like the opposites attract type thing for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
I think them two, the Leo and Aquarius, are just perfect for that.
Yeah, I would agree.
But also this gives you a chance with Miss Nuna. Aries is also on the list. Two of the most independent signs, Aquarius and fire signs, always make great and strong pairings. Free-spirited Aquariuses are drawn to the fiery assertiveness of an Aries. It takes a bit for an Aquarius to open up emotionally, while an Aries wears their emotion on their sleeves. So I feel like an Aquarius would have a fun time, like picking an Aries apart and like getting to know them. But I feel like the Aries would like it as well to have that conversation start. But then I feel like in Aries would find it fun to then pick the Aquarius apart and just you guys would just vibe like doing your own thing in the same room
Okay,
kind of thing.
so I think this is fun because I have a prime example on a friendship level of this right now with me and Lexi getting to bond over the like last couple of weeks because
Yeah.
it very much like has been that like it a lot of the because I mean you know me, I'm very like open book emotional, like I will share my experiences with you if I think that they can help or if I think that they're relevant. And like me and her have been able to kind of have these conversations where
Hmm.
like I'm kind of giving her a lot of information about me, which I keep thinking is like, am I like oversharing or whatever? But then like
Yeah.
she's so happy to receive it. And it's just like, it's a perfect example of what you're saying. Like it's very much Aries are
Aw.
willing to give and Aquariuses want to take that. And there is
Hmm.
reciprocation, of course, but at that like core level of who they are, Aries love to talk about themselves and Aquariuses love to hear people talk about themselves. So it makes perfect sense.
Aw, what a vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So now we're jumping into worst compatible matches. Right at the top, we got Cancers. Aquarius and Cancers have very little in common and therefore not really compatible.
Yeah.
Aquariuses are very rational and aloof, while Cancers are very emotional and sensitive. A Cancer is so deep-seated, their deep-seated need to be nurtured, and Aquariuses are very independent. There's just not very much chemistry. That's plain and simple. It's just not it, I guess. So, sorry, Cancers, no Aquariuses for you, and vice versa. Jumping into it again, we got Virgos. Between Cancer, Virgo, and Aquarius, they're all just too different. There's some common interests, I guess, but there's just very different ways of how they pursue
Mm-hmm.
their own interests. Virgos tend to pay a lot of attention to minute details, while Aquariuses don't really have any interest in that, like, too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very interesting in comparison to what we said earlier. I feel like they would tend to focus on the minute details, but I guess maybe just not at the level that, like, a Virgo would.
I think
So I don't
what
know.
it
I thought that was really odd.
yeah, I think what it might be is that Virgos have a tendency to hang on certain words versus Aquarius take in all the words.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah.
Virgo's too specific, but Aquariuses will get the generalized, like, idea
It's
or,
like,
like, what they're
yeah.
coming across as.
So you know how you were talking about earlier, you feel like Aquariuses are kind of like black and white?
Yeah.
So it kind of plays on that where Virgos kind of operate in a gray area.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take words and they internalize and like interpret those words to mean something. Like they pay attention to like maybe 10% of the words, but those words are what they think are the very important keywords in a
Mm-hmm.
conversation versus an Aquarius will analyze the entire conversation. So I think they come at odds from a sense of like Virgos are like, but this is the important part, and Aquariuses are like, but do you not see the overall picture?
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. The last statement of that little blurb for Virgos is they also tend to frustrate and annoy each other.
Yeah, I could see
So,
it.
yeah. And also the last one's Pisces.
Scandalous.
I know. I was like, oh my god, Lexi, we have beef.
Oh my god, the
So
stars are not
basically,
aligned for you two.
fuck, it's so bad. It was saying they're both outsiders to society and they kind of march to the beat of their own drum. Aquariuses choose to be outsiders, while Pisces have not paid enough attention to be aware of those around them and what is expected of them. So I was like, hold on, that's fucked up because I don't think that's me, but whatever. And then it said, Pisces are often deeply spiritual and have a deep sense of intimacy and emotions. They might be able to find some interest in each other, but in the end, there's not enough to sustain a relationship.
So I think all of this makes perfect sense. And I like I don't mean to like say that this is you because it's not all Pisces
No,
at
I
all.
want to know.
But Pisces do have this like lack of a sense of self-awareness, and it's not because it's a fault of you guys, it's because you guys very much do march to the beat of your own drum. Like it's one of these things of like the world to you is as you view it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very hard for Pisces to often understand another point of view, which is
Mm-hmm.
something that Aquariuses are so like yearning of. Like they
Yeah.
want those different perspectives and they want to have that like you know, they want to be able to pick someone apart to see that like new detail or to find that, you know, new thing that makes somebody tick or whatever versus Pisces tend to think that everything is just a certain way and
Yeah.
that those other perspectives that are coming in are just people's perspectives. Like they're not something that you have to take into account. It's just what the other person thinks.
Hmm. That's fair. I guess I
Yeah.
can see that as like not me personally, but like looking at like a bigger picture of it, I can
Hmm.
I can see it now.
Yeah.
I was just offended for me personally, you know.
I mean, it is the thing is that a lot of people in general just don't have a lot of self-awareness. It's just more likely in a Pisces. It doesn't mean it's every
Yeah.
Pisces.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, well, I'll give you red flag or green flags first.
Um, you know what? Give me those red flags.
Give me red flags first. We'll start
Yeah.
off bad and we'll see what redeems them.
Yeah.
So for red flags, I've got a lack of empathy. Their
Fair.
independent, logical nature can make it difficult for them to recognize when someone is struggling or needs support. This Aquarius red flag can prevent relationships from growing as partners may feel unheard or ignored. I feel like that would have to take a lot of the communication side of things because, like, I don't, as much as they can read body language and stuff like that, I feel like this lack of empathy would be more so solved in a way if
Mm-hmm.
their partner was like, dude, you've literally been ignoring me all day. And they're like, oh, well, I thought you were kind of like just chilling and doing good. And he's just
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I want your attention. Oh, well, why didn't you just say that? That kind of thing is like
Yeah.
exactly what I'd picture.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely one of those things. So, our overall theme here has been that Aquariuses are very much the take, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of adapt to what the other person in the conversation, relationship, situation, whatever you want to call it, uh, what the other
Gives.
person is looking for. So
Yeah.
if you don't give them an like a sign of what you're looking for, they're not going to be able to take that and internalize it and adjust accordingly. So the lack of
Mm.
empathy is definitely probably a perception thing more than like a
Yeah.
factual thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see it. It's fair because
Yeah.
Aquarius is very much our I'm feeling the vibe and I'm going to go with the vibe. And so if the
Mm-hmm.
vibe to them seems like, hey, we're both taking our time apart from each other right now, that's just what they're going to roll with.
Yeah. Like they're just gonna give what they get. Like it
Mm-hmm.
just you just have to tell them, you know.
Yeah.
The next one is the inability to commit. They thrive on excitement and new experiences, which can make it difficult for them to settle down and commit to a long-term relationship. I feel like that would be more so in a romantic sense, but I
Yeah.
guess would heavily depend on the partner that they're with.
Yeah.
Because if that partner's dull and like not really giving what an Aquarius would need, like that excitement or like day-to-day changes,
Yeah.
they're not gonna settle down with that.
I mean,
Like that's not their speed.
this is probably why Cancers and Aquariuses don't match very well cuz Cancers are very much like simplistic routine vibe.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that an
Aquariuses just don't vibe with
Aquarius
that.
yeah, I don't think an Aquarius would very much vibe with it just because like routines aren't necessarily a bad thing to an Aquarius. It's just not an exciting thing. So it's
Yeah.
like it's and I don't necessarily think that they get bored, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that what it is that they seek excitement, and so oftentimes it's hard for them to commit because they think that they can seek excitement and maybe find something better for themselves. And that's nothing against them. I mean, that's nobody wants to be like in any sort of situation or relationship in which they feel like they're being held back from what they want.
Yeah. That's fair.
Mhm.
Because my next one also goes off of one of the sun's traits, which is impulsiveness.
Oh
It
yeah.
may lead to hasty decisions and unpredictability within a relationship. Aquarians are known for the spontaneity and enthusiasm, but excessive impulsiveness could result in rash actions without considering the consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, which will tend to bite them in the butt later.
Those
So I could totally see
Aquarians.
that.
Those Aquarians, they're just making decisions on the fly.
They just gotta.
It's so funny. So this is one of those things about Aquarius people that I just think is so interesting is like you think about everything all the time forever and then you still just make decisions on the fly. That's so kick ass. That's so badass.
I feel like that's the black and white thing. They're like
Yeah.
on the white side, they're like overthinking everything, trying to pick through every little piece and morsel, anything to make sure they're not gonna make the wrong decision. Then on the black side, they're like, well, fuck it, we ball like.
Literally.
But also, I'm sitting here and I'm like, that's so Nuna. Like,
I know, yeah. That's it's so funny because whenever we do these, I think of like the person that I know best out of everybody that the sign
yeah.
relates to.
Mm.
Um, so like the last one with like the Capricorn, the entire time that I thought about like Lexi, like our best friend Lexi, I thought
Yeah.
about her brother who's a
Yeah.
Capricorn, and so like I
Mm-hmm.
just related everything back to him, and I was like, yeah, makes sense, yeah, makes sense,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, makes
Yep.
sense.
All right. Cool. That one too. Yep. Gotcha. Gotcha. I'm matching all these to Nuna and
Oh,
Lexi right now.
Jesus, mother, not brother.
You're
Lexi's mom is a Capricorn, brother's a Sagittarius. I'm just being silly.
silly goose.
Yeah.
All right, let's find these redeeming qualities. So, I only have two, unfortunately. I've had a third and it was summed up in these other two, so I just kind of jumbled them all together. But one of them is staying respectful. It doesn't matter whether you're in a bad mood or are in the middle of an argument, because you're going to treat your partner with respect. You're never going to raise your voice at them, talk down to them, or insult their intelligence. You'll always keep things mature because you would never want to cause permanent damage to the relationship. You would never want to hurt their feelings. And I totally see that, especially if they're like trying to pick up on cues and stuff, or like see the bigger picture. But I also question that to a degree if they can't see past like how their own like mental pathway is going.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's definitely some degree to that for sure, but again, seeing the black and white, I could totally see this for sure.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think that this is a pretty fair like textbook green flag for like not it's not going to be perceived at the level from every Aquarian, just because they differ so much. But I would probably say I think most of the people that I know that fall into Aquarius are some of the most respectful people I've ever met. Like they're all just so like oh god, what would be the word? Aware.
I would say wholesome too.
Yeah, wholesome and aware, like of just everything. Like they're so like cognizant, of people and their needs.
That's fair. The last one I've got is that they're very kind and non-judgmental. Your live and let live outlook on life is why you're always so unbiased and non-judgmental towards people. You tolerate different viewpoints, cultures, trends, values, and so on because you love to make room for everyone and everything under your big tent. Your big tent of love. I thought that was so freaking cute.
Big tent of love.
Big tent of love. They just love love and they want everybody to have the love.
Literally.
So
I can see that a lot. Most of the people that we listed today that I have interacted with are very much like sharers of love. Like I can't think of a single time that I have popped into Nuna's streams and it hasn't been like a sap fest between us, or like
it's been, bro. I popped her to stream the other day. She was like, "Oh my god, Cap, I love you."
Dude,
and I'm like,
she
oh, fuck. Now I
god. She makes me cry with how sweet she is sometimes, and like that is like that's such a prime example of this green flag. She's just like I feel like Aquariuses have so much love to give because they've taken in and observed so much love that they just have to outwardly express it as well. And it's such a beautiful quality.
It is. It's so amazing. I love it so much. I'm also such a sap, so like
me too.
If someone gives sap, I gotta give sap back.
Right, yeah. There's gotta be reciprocation.
It really does.
You're not going to give me any words of affirmation without getting some back, BB.
Exactly. It's 50-50, even though I might cry about it, okay?
Right. I'll compliment you through my tears, okay?
Well, that is all we have for Aquariuses, but we do have one final thing for you guys. We've got the horoscope for Aquariuses for today.
Yes, I found this earlier.
Would you like to read it off?
Oh yeah, sure. I found this earlier, and I went through a few because it looks like some websites are so like
too vague.
Formal, yeah, and then some are so vague. And this one I came across, I said, yeah, this one sounds like y'all gonna kick ass. So it says this is specifically for this week. And this is, I just copied the latter half of the week because we kind of got through the rest of it, so but it says expect some very rewarding news to come your way this weekend. Your progress has been more significant than you thought, and there are some very happy people around you. If people give you praise that seems too enthusiastic, so what? Don't try and fight it. Try to sit back and enjoy it. It's not very often that credit is given where credit is due. So you need to appreciate that when it happens. It all balances out. There will be days in the future where your hard work won't be noticed.
Aww.
Yeah. So Aquariuses, when you get that good news and that praise this weekend, just make sure that you hold on to it, accept it gracefully, and, you know, ride with it, because not
Yeah.
everybody tells you when you're doing a good job or gives you, like it said, that gives you the credit that you're due. So when it does happen, just stop internalizing all those thoughts for a quick second and say, I deserve this.
And true. And if you're trying to make your tent a little bigger and have too many people with your love fest, just remember to give yourself a little bit of love. And
Yeah.
appreciate yourself.
Yeah. Point that finger
yeah.
back at yourself and say, I'm beautiful.
Heck yeah, and you did a good job. Because Aquariuses, we love you guys.
We
for
do
sure.
love you. And happy
Yeah.
birthdays. Hope you guys all had great
Happy birthdays.
ones.
True. So, Veda,
Mm-hmm.
is there possibly something you're forgetting to talk about at the end of the podcast?
Ah, God. Should we tease next week?
I don't know. Am I the asshole if I say we don't?
Guess we could talk about it next week.
Cause remember, Coveys,
Keep it real, but keep it
keep it
curious.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.